everyone, I hope you're all doing super well and welcome to this little review of the Strathmore oil painting paper. Just a brief little overview of this paper. It is a 350 GSM. It is a medium grade paper, I would say, and it has, so Strathmore claims, a linen texture, so it feels like you're painting on linen. When Strathmore released this paper, I was so excited because Strathmore has some of the most amazing drawing papers. If you're somebody who works in colouring pencils, you've got to try the Bristol series papers. They're absolutely incredible for coloured pencils. They're definitely my favourite. And so when I heard that they had an oil painting paper, I was like, I've got to try. This is the third oil painting paper I've tried so far. I've also tried the Canson Figueras and a painting pad for acrylic and oil by this brand called Reeves, I think it was. And that was rubbish. Like, if you ever see that for sale, I think I bought it from KissMyArtChannel. Don't buy it because it was so thin. The paper was just like sketching paper. It was just useless, and all the paper ran through and it was rubbish. But this paper has been really interesting. It has been amazing, and it's such an unusual experience because if you're somebody who likes to work on linen, the texture and feel of it, like Strathmore claim that it is a linen finish and linen feel, it does really feel like that because I've painted on linen quite a lot and I did actually find that to be the effect. But what was more interesting was that on linen you can't actually, at least if you paint on sort of medium grain, you can't get a ton of detail in the first layer, whereas with paper you can actually get a lot of detail in the first go. So if you're somebody who likes to work really fast and you like to create sort of super detailed work, then you might want to try it out, especially for not only studies, but sort of professional studies, like posting on Instagram, for example, or you could frame your work and even sell it because these papers are archival. The paper took oil really well, so when you're layering, because I did experiment in lots of different ways, so I tried the alla prima technique and then I also tried layering with using a lot of medium and seeing if the paper was able to hold up and take all that medium, and it was able to. The oil didn't seep through, the medium didn't seep through the paper or anything like that. It really is so sturdy. And also I find it feels really luxurious, even though it's just a paper. Like, you wouldn't necessarily think that it would be so luxurious. You wouldn't think it would be like, you know, painting on a really fancy canvas, but it does feel such high quality that I do think it's worth looking into if you're a professional artist and you like to create sort of really high quality studies, and possibly for somebody who likes to experiment, and say you've experimented on something and then you think actually this is really good, I may want to sell it, then this is a great type of product to. If I was to compare this to the Canson Figueras paper, which I've tried already, I think that they are so similar. They're both really high quality. They've got really kind of sturdy medium grain finish, and I just think they're both great to use. I would say I slightly prefer the Strathmore, and I haven't worked out the reason why exactly. I tried to narrow it down and I don't know what it is, but I do think that when I placed my medium and all my colours onto the Strathmore paper, I felt that the colours dried a little bit more vibrant, but it's such a fine difference between the two. So I think if you tried the Canson, you might not necessarily need to, you know, try the Strathmore, but they're both really great, and I didn't find any problems with either. I was trying to think of a disadvantage to this paper, and there is one complaint that I have to Strathmore, or rather a request, and that is that I really hope Strathmore comes out with a fine grain version of this, because I feel like with oil painters in any kind of big range of products, we kind of get almost like pushed to the back. So when there's, you know, a big brand like Strathmore and they specialize in papers, I feel like oil painters only get this one option of one oil painting pad, and I just hope that they come out with a fine grain version of this so that we can have like a super fine detailed paper, because It's really hard to find products that, especially for oil painting, that are fine grain or fine detail. For some reason, surfaces particularly, lots of brands think that oil painters want to paint on a medium grain. And in actual fact, the majority of oil painters, I personally think, prefer finer grain, because the more detail you can get, even if you like to paint in a really fluid and loose style, having a fine surface is so much easier. If the surface is smooth, it's a lot easier, but it has to have a little bit of tooth, obviously. But if it's smooth to a certain degree, you can get, it's just so much easier to place the paint and to work on. And yet, the amount of surfaces there are, the majority of them are in a medium grain, or sometimes even, something much more rough. Now I will show you a little painting that I created using this paper just recently. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next week. And if you've tried this paper, let me know what you think of it. Take care, guys.